Hello everybody and welcome live then to the Simraceway Sunday race-off. We're back here at the home of almost where it all started, back at Watkins Glen. We've seen many brilliant races here today, and now we're seeing a car which really is an iconic piece of history. The 1973 Mclaren. We've got full feature 59 lap race a bit later tonight, but what you're witnessing right now is the practice session for the B race. So 15 laps, one mandatory pit stop, and it's a full sprint to the finish. So my name is Liam Jenkins. I will be calling all of the action for you around this prestigious circuit today. As I said, you join us in this qualifying session, currently being topped by Magico. He sits at the top of the standings, 0.5 seconds clear from Baxter-Gaber. Mr. Jolly in third, Mr. Jones in fourth, Mr. PA in P5, P6 is Dude 74, Ladrick in P7, and Luigi, you are still yet to set a time. So approximately 10 minutes to go in the session, and taking a look at what Magico is doing as well. Now, whilst he's still on pole position, he did lose quite a hefty bit of time to Mr. Jolly. In fact, it was about a tenth of a second. The gap now 0.44 seconds separating the pole sitter and second place. And Jolly's running a much more aggressive line as well as he comes in towards a very quick chicane. 168 miles an hour before decelerating. And then back early on the throttle as well into third gear, so the revs are low, but the car's still thundering up through the gears. And he begins his descent down the chute now, and he tries to chase now Mr. Jones, who's just a bit up in front of him. He's currently sitting P5, only actually around 0.7 seconds away from what Mr. Jolly's time is. The two cars in front of Mr. Jones on the circuit, both PA and Baxter-Gaber, also just around a tenth of a way at the moment, so there really is not that much separating the entire field. Just over 1.1 seconds separate the top six, and when you've got a speed difference like that and you put them in a 59 lap race, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. You put them in a 15 lap sprint race and it could just be the most tense thing you'll see for quite some time here. And as they come up towards the last few couple of corners, you can see already Jolly is going much quicker than Jones. I think Jones may be a bit held up there from Ladrich as Jolly went a little bit too wide. Yeah, he's called off the lap. He got way too squirmy as he enters the final couple of corners. Let's take a look at Mr. Jones anyway, because he's going to have a very handy slipstream off the back of Ladrich there. And yeah, you can see going through turn one, he'll go into the outside, and yet very sensibly moving out of the way. 1.6 seconds off the pace at the moment is the man in P6, Ladrich. Mr. Jones just 900ths away from Baxter-Gaber, so that slipstream definitely helped him last time round. This time he's in clean air, though. It's a relatively easy pass into the first corner, so he should be able to really get that momentum going, shifting forward as he approaches that chicane again. Brakes very late, and he takes a little bit of a deep line now. He's going to be early on the throttle, but I think he may have lost about a tenth of a second through there. The car's back end is desperately trying to step out. He's doing everything he can to try and keep it under control, but this truly is an absolute beast of a car, and one which does take only the master to keep it under control. Just up in front as well, he's got a little bit of traffic, but I don't think that's going to affect him too much when it comes to this qualifying session. He's a little bit too far away. He's Dude 74. And as is his lap time pace as well, he's actually around P7 at the moment, so almost 2 seconds off of the pace. As Mr. Jones comes round almost to complete his fourth lap here, so his fourth attempt at trying to get himself on the front row. Currently on the second row of the grid behind Baxter-Gaber for the standing start of this race, so no rolling start. It will be a flat run down into the first corner from the start-finish line, so grid position is absolutely crucial here today at the Glen, and Mr. Jones knows that. That is why he's pushing as hard as he is. Through the penultimate corner then, glides over that apex, perfectly spot on there, just kissing it with that front left tyre. Through the final corner, just a gentle lift before powering down the straight, and now this is where we're going to see a lot of the tension. Oh, and he's actually lost out. Mr. Jolly's gone a bit quicker there, I think. So Jolly's now 2 tenths clear away. Jones still stays there in P4, but Mr. PA could be the new dark horse. He's just 100th of a second away from Mr. Jones, who's really attacking those curves throughout the chicane as well, and a bit squirmy there. You can see already how much he's trying to push that car. It's all over the place. He's like trying to wrestle a demon around this Watkins Glen circuit. We all know it's very fast and very flowing. As he catches Magico, I think he may have to find out a harder way, as I think he got a little bit of line there, and Magico is actually in the wall. He's on the grass, so he's not going to provide a hazard for Mr. PA, but even so, his lap is going to be unfortunately shotted away this time around. And as PA climbs the hill, he just needs 100th of a second, almost as fast as he can blink a human eye, is the difference between the man in P4, Mr. Jones, and the man in P5, Mr. PA. So really, nothing separating the guys in 4th and 5th right now. PA as well, early back on the apex there. I think as he enters the penultimate corner, he may have found the 10th he needs to get himself up into P4. We all know he's a little bit tighter there. Going into that final corner, turns in much earlier, goes over the apex a little bit. And the very tight suspension on those cars allowing you to get that extra bit of downforce through. And he completes the time, and he shaves it. But I think Jolly's just a little bit higher up. So PA moves up to P4. Oh, and he spun at turn 1. And there's a testament to how hard that man's pushing right now. He pulls over to the left-hand side of the track, and we have 4 minutes 14 left in this qualifying session. Just taking a look at what these drivers are actually having to put into their cars as well. You can see that yellow tinted visor or the window in that car to try and block out the sunlight. It's done a very nice job there for PA. It really does make this the track look like in its golden age, and something which these cars are very familiar with, that golden era. So the times currently then, as we take a look through the standings, the man on pole is the Magico at 1:43.483, 4/10 quicker than Mr. Jolly in second. Baxagaba sits in P3, Mr. PA in fourth, Mr. Jones P5, Dude 74 in P6, Laderick in P7, and Luigi still yet to set a time despite doing 8 laps, sits in 8th position. Now he's obviously been quick enough, but he's currently riding along the wall. He's back in the pits again. This will be lap number 9 out of the 15 minutes we've had here today, so he's definitely pushing. But he's currently sat in the pit lane. Maybe time to gather his thoughts together and make sure it's all 100% tickety-boo inside that car, because the last thing you want is going to be going in there with a false mindset or thinking that you're not quite good enough for the race, that you're going to be eligible for making those big mistakes. He leaves the field again now. I think he's got an empty track as well. The majority of the field are actually on the circuit, so he shouldn't have that much in the way of traffic when they're all spaced out around this very long, very winding Watkins Glen circuit. And it's taking a look at Baxagaba as well. He's 3,000 off of the Magico right now. He's pushing so much as he goes on towards the back straight here at turn 4 before heading on towards the inner loop and through the very tight chicane. It's been such a good run for Baxagaba right now. He's got himself right up there, 3,000th of a second through a 3.4 mile circuit. Baxagaba is flying right now. Bit wobbly over those curbs, and he's trying to wrestle that back end around. He's almost drifting it there as he begins to run through the outer loop and down the chute in towards turn number 6. This has been a phenomenal start to the lap. He's taken a much wider line to cut back across, but I think that may actually punish him for quite a bit there. He just hasn't quite got the turn he needs, as he'll go through turn number 8 now. Up through the kink in towards turn 9. It's such a long right-hander there as you go up the hill in towards turn 9. 3,000th of a second. That's so close there. Almost at the same. They really are. If you put them side by side, you would barely be able to tell without a magnifying glass who is the faster car of the two. And now through turn 9 goes Baxagaba. Very tight. He does not bring that car out wide at all. A very nice run through the penultimate corner and then through turn 11. Is this going to be enough? He's running out of time to do so as well. A bit of a drift through there, and that's going to cost him some acceleration. 1 minute left. He will get another lap in. He does not improve. So this is the lap we need to watch then. DeMagico's also on the circuit. He's coming towards the end of a lap actually. He's just coming now through the chute. So we want to try and keep an eye on this one and see if he improves, because DeMagico, I don't think will be able to set another time. He needs this to be the lap of a lifetime. He needs to secure that pole position. Grid position is everything in that run down to turn 1 at Watkins Glen. Whoever gets there first normally retains their position up into around turn 4 when you hit that back straight. Very tight, fast complex of corners, very risky to overtake. DeMagico knows this, and 3,000ths of a second may not be enough to hold in that position as they stream down into turn 1 in a few moments' time. He's done a nice curve job so far as Demagico keeps that car nice and straightened up. Flick the car left for turn 10. Again, kissing the apex. He runs a little bit wide. They're almost touching the curbing, but he keeps it. Oh, that was planted perfectly. That could be the difference right now. He needs 0.03 of a second to improve. Oh, he's done it by 0.5. And Baxagaba is going to need something so spell. He's stopped. He's given up. He's seen the time. And that was not going to be enough. What a way to assert your authority. Demagico in the dying moments. 0.5 of a second. Sits him on pole position. Jolly, however, will not stop pushing. He's currently on his way up the hill there. Through the hill in towards turn number 9. So Jolly still has a chance. The rest of the field, except for Laderick and Luigi, are still out on circuit. Luigi is coming through the final corner now. I think he's still yet to set a time, actually. Indeed he is. Luigi comes across and doesn't set a time. Oh, Laderick spins on his final lap and careers into the gravel trap. What an exciting qualifying session this has been as Mr. Jolly comes in towards the final corner for the final time in this 15-minute qualifying session. Where will this place him? He needs about a 1:43. Oh, he goes second! He goes second! He breaks them all! 0.3 behind Demagico, 2 in front of Baxagaba. That is how you stamp your authority. What a qualifying session that was. A massive congratulations to Demagico. We'll be right back with the race at hand. We've got a short 5-minute warm-up session. We'll be back for the full 15-lap race. We'll see you then. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Simraceway Sunday race-off. 15 laps of the iconic Watkins Glen circuit will be raced very shortly. We just wait for all the cars to line up on their grid spots. Legendary circuit, legendary car. Question is, who will be the legendary driver come the end of the 15 laps? We now await the arrival of those 4 red lights. We've got 2, we've got 3, we've got 4, and now we wait for the lights to go. We're racing and a good start there for Magico. Mr. Jolly trying to get around the outside. Jones has had a great start after a very impressive qualifying session. Jolly's in the lead into turn 1 though. Magico has to try and swoop it. He's lost so much time. As is back to Gabriel as he goes wide, Jolly has to slot back in. They're not going to go side by side to him. Magico desperate to get that lead back, and I think he just about achieved it. Very hard battling in the opening couple of corners. Jolly and Jones now go side by side in the run down to the corner. Run down to turn 4 and a bit of a wobble there as well. That was not how to do it. But Magico will lead the field into the chicane. Jolly leads in front as well. There's a bit of a wide move there for Mr. Jones, I think. Yeah, Jones down to P5, not the race start he wanted. Don't forget you have to make 1 mandatory pit stop as well. Luigi and Ladrich side by side. Ladrich on the outside. And that was not played off for him at all. As the field separate out, it will be a drag race then essentially between Magico and Mr. Jolly, separated by 3/10 that sector. So still obviously a lot to play for with these drivers. They desperately need to push on now. Especially for Ladrich there. P6 has got a very handy slipstream of Dude 74. Let's take a ride on board if we can. On the run down in towards turn number 8 through the hill and up the hill they'll come, and there's a bit of a skid mark there, so someone's had a bit of an off. And Ladrich is just trying to get a minute. Oh, that's a big move on Dude. I think Dude's gone a bit too deep. And Ladrich is surely going to punish him for that one as they stream down. There's a car off in the background. It's Luigi Uart, who's had a very unsuccessful qualifying. He's spun again in the race. But can take the positives. He's now making that 1 pit stop. Back at the front, Magico has got himself a 1.1 second gap at the end of the first lap. Jolly second, PA is trying to chase him down in P3. Back to Gamer down to P4. Ladrich down to P5 with Dude 74 in P6. PA though trying to attack Jolly right now as they come down the back straight here heading towards turn number 5. Through the inner loop they'll come, and Magico turns in very nice and sharp. PA's got a much bigger gain I think through there. And that back end did step away from him. He's come out a bit too tight in P3. He's got almost 2 seconds back to back to Gaber right now, so the field behind really separated out. Ladrich P5, Dude 74 6th, Mr. Jones 7th, and Luigi in the pits making his only stop of the day. Let's see what PA can do as he tries now to assault Mr. Jolly and take back that position. Those guys have been getting very up close and personal over the last lap or so. In the slipstream, thundering down the gears now, turning into the right hander. A little bit wide was PA in that back end. May just come round to Hornton. Luckily though he held on, almost touching the very edge of the grass there. Luckily Tyres responded positively as he tries again to attack Jolly and just takes tenths out of tenths out of tenths out of that lead. They're also not actually straying too far away from Magico. I think Magico will be hoping the 2 fall into some sort of battle, because that way he can easily get the seconds he needs. But for now, Mr. Jolly's going to come across that start-finish line and no more than 1.4 seconds away. As Mr. P is still chasing down into turn 1. It's a late break and Jolly's off. And it's all gone wrong for Mr. Jolly, who won't be so jolly right now because he'll be so frustrated with the event which has just occurred. The man who was second in qualifying with a blistering lap time has just been shunned off at turn 1, and that's surely got to be a penalty for the man in second. Very late braking manoeuvre from Mr. PA. There was no way that hole was even open. He pried it open with pliers and it just completely backfired. He's lost a bit of time to Magico as well, but back to Gaber. It's the man in P3 as Mr. Jolly's going to have quite a hard task chasing him down now. Those two are also quite evenly matching qualifying pace I think as well, so that will be key to see how that one pans out in a few moments time. But for now, this race has taken a very dramatic turn. I don't think anyone quite anticipated it to be taking this much of an actionist turn this time round. I believe we're going to see a penalty for perhaps Mr. PA. No guarantee, but with 1 point, he's actually gained 3/10 on Magico, so he's going very quickly. He's got the pace, evidently no damage to that car. If anything, I think he's gaining on Magico by quite an alarming rate. He seems to be getting closer and closer. We'll give it a couple of corners and we'll see how close they are. Yeah, he's going to drive through penalty then for the event we saw almost a lap ago as they come across the end to lap number 4. They'll start. This will not count as a mandatory pit stop either. PA stays out. I think he's caught a bit off by that. And that gap's going to go up to 2.5 there. So, slightest mistakes are costly. Who's that in the pits? Oh, okay, that will be Dude 74, who's coming into the pits then to, assuming, going to get that one crucial pit stop out of the way for him today. Pulls over to the right hand side and stops the car now. So very careful stop. Last thing you're going to do is obviously overshoot your pit box. So Dude 74 has survived on that front. And leaving the pit lane now, he's 40 seconds behind Magico. Now it's going to be key at the lap time which PA sets now, because he does have to serve that penalty and stop. Now, what we don't know is if he's trying to do this early or get himself a gap and then do it, or wait for a pit stop and then do it. But he does have to serve a drive-through penalty at some point during this race. And he's going to harm him badly when he's driving as rough as that as well. He's trying to run that car ragged to get the maximum power out of it as he can. And again, he's still not drifting away from Magico by that much. It's enough to keep him within contention at the moment. Back to Gaber again, holding up Jolly. They're 2.1 seconds adrift now, so still a little bit separating those guys as we come towards the end of the first third of the race. And PA's going to go into the pits presumably. Yes, he does. So the question is, where's he going to feed out? Down the lane he comes. There goes back to Gaber. And now Jolly, I'm sure, will be feeling quite justified with that. He gets that P4 back. Well, P3 back. There's Jolly, I'm assuming, is going to come out P6. He's almost at the end. It's such a long pit lane here at Watkins Glen. On the run down into turn 1, he's P6 at the moment. Yeah, he'll be safely in front of Dude 74. No, there was no second guessing there, was there? He was going to come out safely in front of Dude, who is actually 51 seconds behind now. So, having made his first stop of the day, he's going to have a very long race to the finish here then. He's running like 5 out of 15. But our race leader has 5 seconds currently over back to Gaber 57, so he really is pushing right now. We'll see how much he can keep pulling out of this as time goes on, but right now he's looking like he's very comfortable. His race didn't exactly get off to the highest start possible, but he has made up for it definitely, and he's looking to be much more competitive now. He's got himself in some clean air. 5.7 seconds clear of back to Gaber, but perhaps Mr. Jolly's the one I've got to worry about. But back to Gaber keeping Jolly at bay for now. The gap moved up now to 3.2 seconds, so it has not moved down, it stayed at 3.2. Ladridge into P4, Mr. Jones still 5th, PA in 6th. One man you want to keep an eye on is PA. He's only 4 seconds behind Mr. Jones. PA will be so upset perhaps with himself as he suffers a drive through, but right now pushing on quite nicely as he goes very aggressive through the final corner. Back to Gaber in the pits, that will set him behind Mr. PA, with PA still of course yet to make that first stop. The drive through does not count as a pit stop, and Max Gaber's going to come out quite a way behind, maybe around 30 seconds in fact. And just taking a look through the field as well and looking at the lap times that were set that time around, it was around a 140 we're looking at for the Magico at 142. Dude 74, he's coming across the line 7, having made his pit stop. He's got a completed time of about a 1 minute 45.7. Oh, PA's gone off, PA's gone wide. Now, we're not too sure what's happened there, but he's had a bit of an off indeed. He's only 8 seconds in front of Baxagaba. Oh, 19 in fact, this sector's updated, but he went very wide through there, and now he's going to come back to haunt him, knowing he has to make that second stop as well. Jones, though, is catching Ladrich in third. Of course, now with Baxagaba behind him, Jones can really start to try and push and catch Ladrich. Knowing there's no threat of being swarmed and losing time after time after time, he really does have a good chance to get himself on the podium here today. He's keeping an eye on the pit lane as well, but I think what we need to be really keeping an eye on is who's near the pit lane, both Ladrich and Mr. PA. PA is so determined to get his race back in full flight once again. Now he's going to stream into the first corner, and he's not able to get close enough. He doesn't want to repeat of what we saw earlier. That's the last thing he'd want to do. But right now he's flying through. He's put a lot of time on Ladrich, and Ladrich himself, as we say, trying to catch Mr. Jones. I think he must have had a bit of an off. He's now 6.9 seconds behind Mr. Jones as PA puts more and more pressure on him as they come down that back straight in towards the inner loop again. Very late braking from PA, and maybe he didn't anticipate. We've got a yellow flag. Who is that for? Let's try and find out. Oh, it's Luigi again. Luigi in the wall, and that is coming out of the chicane. That's into the outer loop. He's back in the pits. I think that's a retirement, our first retirement of the day, coming at the halfway stage during the race. And Luigi called it a day, unfortunately. He hasn't had the strongest weekend. He's been plagued with issues. And unfortunately, it was too little too late. Still trying to keep an eye on what Ladrich is doing. He's actually keeping P behind now. They were separated by 0.5 seconds. Watkins Glen is a circuit with passing opportunities there, but they do come at a bit of a risk. You have to be so certain that you can really make that work. You have to be certain you can be able to push that car around the outside and not make a mistake. So if you make a mistake, there's some very harsh walls. There's quite a big runoff area, and whilst that could be a blessing, it's also a curse because you're going to lose so many valuable seconds. But that chase has actually come to a halt as PA pits in for his presumable first and only mandatory stop of the day. So that will be out of the way here as he comes towards the halfway stage of the race. So makes sense, you know, halfway through make your stop. But what wasn't on his strategy for sure will be making a drive-through penalty. He had to suffer a few laps ago for the contact he had with Mr. Jolly into turn 1. So PA leaving the pit lane. He's actually behind Dude now. So this goes to show that stop and goes really has haunted him because he's... Oh, Dude was 51 seconds away and he's now 5 seconds in front. So you've lost about 50 seconds between those two pit stops. Of course, the drive through and then the pit stop itself. The average pit stop is about 20 seconds here at the Glen. So PA has really not helped himself at all. It's been a very difficult race for him this afternoon as Jolly's now 10 seconds behind DeMagico after a very impressive qualifying. It has not been the way forward, unfortunately, for him. He needs to try and find a little bit more pace. DeMagico still not pitting in. Will Jolly call it the time to bring that car into the pit lane and get his first stop out of the way? No, he doesn't. Mr. Jones is now in front of Ladrich as well by 2.9 seconds, so that really has gone through. So down the start finish straight goes Laderick right now, and as you can see, no one in the pit lane, just keeping an eye on what's going on. We've only got one other car in there, that being the car of Luigi, as he unfortunately didn't finish that race. He was so close to it as well, but the mistakes unfortunately were too much. It's all really quiet on the Western Front right now, as Laderick has actually lost a massive amount of time. Approximately 3 seconds he's lost already, and 14 is what the gap is between Jolly and Jones. So Mr. Jones has got to try and push him very, very hard right now. And to give you an idea of what the cars were doing at this time during the 1973 race, in which we're getting the full 59 laps a bit later on, as to what the race was run back in 1973, the McLaren used there was run by Jody Scheckter, we believe, and the fastest lap during the actual race was a 141.6. To put that into perspective, DiMaggio's coming around the final corner now, so DiMaggio needs a 141.6 to be kind of matching the pace of what James Hunt set for that March Ford back in 1973 in a 143. So this shows you how much these guys are pushing right now, but Denny Holm was the man who finished highest in that race. So we're on lap 10 out of 15 right now as DiMaggio brings his way back in towards the chicane, and he's requested a pit stop. So I'll almost see 3/4 mark then. It seems that DiMaggio has decided, okay, let's do it. Let's bring in that, well, 2/3 of the way through the race. Maybe feeling those tires getting a bit old now, and you can really see that car. It's a very hard task driving this car non-stop. When you're in your lead, you're on your own. It's just non-stop focus. You need to be setting those consistent times, and it's not always easy. You really do need to be at the top of your game the entire time. DiMaggio's done a very successful job of that here today as he comes down in towards the chute. Called so for a very good reason, as it streams the car up now over the bridge and in towards that all-important turn number 8 and 9. So through turn 9, DiMaggio comes over the apex nicely, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of pace he competes with on this warm-up lap. Well, warm-in lap, if you will, because, will he slow down? Will he take it easy? Or does he go hard to make sure, I'm going in the pits anyway, let's go in with a bit of a gap. Even more crucial, though, will be the positioning of Mr. Jolly as DiMaggio peels into the pit lane now. Jolly has other ideas. He wants to stay out, try and maybe leapfrog him, get a couple of seconds back. So DiMaggio stops in his pit box now, almost, as Mr. Jolly is going to stream past him. So there, DiMaggio stops, and Mr. Jolly takes the lead of the race. And he will be so, so happy with that as well. He really knows what to do here today. Jolly, as we say, made a very impressive qualifying time, just 0.3 of a second off of what DiMaggio did. However, in the race, he's now got himself 13 seconds on DiMaggio, knowing he does need to make that pit stop. So Jolly, if he wants to make this work, needs to be doing the laps of a lifetime right now. Even more crucial, DiMaggio may be out in traffic. Now, that is not what he needs in the slightest. DiMaggio's out. He's got Laderick in front of him. Laderick, we believe, still yet to make a stop. But even so, DiMaggio, if he has to pass him, Laderick is in his full entitlement to defend. He does not have to surrender that position at all. He's racing with us at the end of the day. He's not a lapped car, so he does not have to move out of the way. Very, very key here. If DiMaggio can't get past, he's going to lose such valuable time to Mr. Jolly, who extends his gap now to 24.672 seconds through that first sector. So DiMaggio is dropping time after the pit stop. He needs to get everything warmed up. He needs to get himself back in the zone, setting those fastest laps, but more importantly, trying to pass Laderick as soon as he can. The longer he sat behind him, waiting for the holes to open up, the longer Mr. Jolly has to try and kind of break out some sort of sustainable gap back to DiMaggio, because right now Jolly, as we say, 24.6, showing no signs of pitting in. It's actually come down by 2 seconds. That just shows you the pace of DiMaggio there. Let's take a look. 25.6 it was. A 143.9 is the time we need to look for. A 1:43.9 from Jolly. Of course, that will be slower from DeMagico. Let's see what perhaps Ladrich can do in response. A 1:43.907 from Jolly. What can Ladrich do in retaliation? Can he go faster? Or he pits in? Ladrich in the pits. Very, very handy for DeMagico. And now this is going to be the lap of pace then. 25 seconds. We say it's around 25 for a pit stop. Jolly, who still has to make his first and only stop of the day. Back to Gaber now, reclaims third. Ladrich may even lose it to Mr. Jones at this stage. The car's off the jacks. Jones is nearing out the final corner. Ladrich needs to go now. He's off. That's going to be very close. A bit of a slow getaway from his pit box. Here comes Mr. Jones down the straight, and there's no fight at all. Dude 74, after the early stop, may actually play the part into this. I think he will. I think he's got 5th place wrapped up. Oh, he's done that so easily. Dude 74 has made the kind of early risk. He stopped on lap 3 out of 15. We're now on lap 12. Dude made a very early call to pit in. It made him seem like a big risk or a silly choice. He's proven everyone wrong now. He's inside the top 5, 3 seconds away from Mr. Jones at this stage. DeMagico still struggling to take time out of Jolly. He's still 25 seconds away. Where is Jolly in relation? He's nearing that final corner. Will he decide to pit in though? Again, no, stays out. He's got to do it at some point. 24.8 it is slowly coming down. If I was him, I'd be pitting in as soon as possible. Why you've got that big gap, because he cannot get that gap up a 1:44.0. And for Mr. Jolly, what can DeMagico do in response? I'm assuming it'll be about a 1:43.7. That's my guess as he rounds the final corner. If that's correct, then I might as well buy a lottery ticket, because that's a very good prediction skill. A 1:43.7 was my guess, and it's a 1:43.4. So even quicker. The gap now down to 24.3 seconds. As we have 3 laps remaining. And those 3 laps, of course, still we have to make a pit stop for Mr. Jolly. 24.4. The gap between the 2 drivers. Back to Gaber a further 9 seconds away. Mr. Jones, another 23 seconds away. With Dude 74 closing in on him, it seems. He's going around the final corner to start lap number 13 out of 15. See the gap start to close a bit now. I think again we need to be looking at those lap times and seeing if Mr. Jolly's going to pit in or no. As we say, 24.9 clear of DeMagico at this stage. He's going to near that left-hander now. Through the final few corners he's going to come. 2 more to go. Turns 10 and 11 of the 3.7 mile circuit. Will he decide to put? Oh, he's down to 18 seconds. He's lost so much time. I think Jolly may have to pit this lap. He's on the penultimate lap. Into turn 1 he comes then. And now he's really got to start thinking. 150.3. He's made a big mistake there. Something's not right. He needs about 143, 144 to be competitive. DeMagico took 7 seconds out with a 1:43.9 that time. Jolly has lost a massive bundle of time somewhere on this circuit. I'm guessing he's gone wide. Wouldn't surprise me if it was this turn right here through the inner loop. And Jolly again, he's just trying to do everything he can to make sure that he's got enough time back to DeMagico, but I don't think, honestly, he's got enough. I think he's left it way too long to pit in, because he has to pit this time. If he doesn't, he will get disqualified. I think he may even lose a position to back to Gaber here if he's not careful. And Jolly really kicking that back end out. 17.8. He's lost another 0.3 of a second in the first two sectors and surely has to pit in right now. Jolly does still have to pit. If it's not this lap, I'm guessing he'll be disqualified unless he tries to pull a Schumacher. And does he pit? No, he doesn't. Okay. So, I guess he's going to risk it unless he's already made his one stop. Which I don't think he has. Then he's going to have a very tough job on his hands here to try and stay in front of DiMaggio. So final lap begins here at Watkins Glen, 15 laps, which will be 25%, only a quarter of the race distance, so we're going to see in the A-race a bit later on. As Baxagaba heads into turn 1, but let's just watch Jolly see what he does. If he can stop, I guess I can see what he's trying to do. If he does do what I think he is and try and pull that Michael Schumacher move where he famously pitted in on the final lap and actually got in the pit box as he crossed the start-finish line, which is a very cheeky move. He found a loophole in the rules, and unless this is what Jolly is trying to do right now, I think he may have just forgotten he had to stop. Either way, though, he's been such a talent here today. As we said, he had that tremendous qualifying session earlier on, and he just fought his way forward. He got taken out, unfortunately, by PA a bit earlier on. Recovered his race, and I'm guessing he's just been pushing hard ever since to try and make up for it. This is why we may not see him pit. Let's see what he does. Provisionally, he may be called a winner. We'll see what the final judgment is. Yeah, he pits in. He's done a Schumacher. It's a very risky move. Where is DiMaggio? The final lap, the final corner is going to come to this. 18 seconds away. Who's going to cross the line first? Jolly, I don't think's got it. I don't think he will. Here comes DiMaggio. DiMaggio round the final corner. He started on pole. He's a legendary driver at the end of the race. 15 laps later, he is the race winner. He saw through the slide plan there of Mr. Jolly, and he took the victory back from his grasp. Jolly still has to get across the line. He may lose third. Yes, he will. Baxagaba takes second. So Jolly in third has got to get ready to go and take fourth. It's only quite close to fourth, actually. So yeah, Jolly takes third. A late gasp and stops the car. P4 is going to be Dude 74. A very good result for Dude 74. Fifth place there is Ladrich. Sixth place will be Mr. Jones 83. A lonely seventh there. Plagued by issues today, Mr. P8. He was looking so competitive until that contact earlier on, and then that drive-through penalty really cost him what could have been an easy top 5. PA, though, nonetheless will bring the car home through the final few corners and claim a 7th position, which arguably, as we said, could have been more. But it will be left trying to improve for next week's Sunday race-off. He'll round the final corner on the return of the B race and go across the start-finish line, and that rounds out our results here today. So a massive well done to our race winner and everyone else who competed. Thank you all for watching. We will see you all very shortly for the Evos, but from me, Liam Jenkins, it's goodbye for now, and we will see you at Watkins Glen in a few moments' time.